Zoogerton, the Zoological Society Papers of Mrs. Featherdown. Episode 3, Rumours Take Flight. My dearest readers, last evening's annual menagerie ball, that glittering crown of our social calendar, proved once again that no amount of orchestral refinement or polished marble can outshine the true entertainment of the ton, one another. The chandeliers sparkled, the parquet floors gleamed, and Maestro Monti, the green-winged macaw, whose baton flourishes are nearly as dramatic as his plumage, guided the orchestra into a waltz that set the entire room into motion. It was into this shimmering tableau that the ostrich trio, Nettie, Poppy, and Clover, made their entrance. Their arrival was formally announced, and the effect was immediate. Fans paused mid-flutter, tails stilled, and whispers rose like a breeze through tall grass. Even before the trio completed their first turn about the room, a hush rippled outward, the unmistakable sign that the ton had already begun forming its opinions. Their feathers shimmered, their steps glided, and their eyes swept the ballroom with predatory precision. Every creature watched them, some with admiration, others with suspicion, and a few with envy so thinly veiled it may as well have been announced by the orchestra itself. From Michaela's corner, her circle of particular ladies, Regina and Nandi, the lionesses, Maggie, the gentle camel, and Magic, the ever-watchful yellow anaconda, observed the ostrich's entrance with varying degrees of disdain. It was said that Regina's expression sharpened in that way it does when she believes someone is overestimating their own elegance. Nandi's tail reportedly flicked once, a sign her protective instincts were stirring. Maggie was seen leaning toward Akela in a gesture of steady reassurance, while Magic's coils tightened in a manner that suggested strategic assessment. Across the ballroom, Benjamin stood among his circle of gentlemen. Mac, the stodgy and headstrong camel, was said to be holding court on the latest enclosure renovations, particularly the industrious feats of Clint Eatswood, the beaver whose architectural ambitions have become the pride of the grounds. Regina's brothers, Chadwick and Daniel, appeared to be debating the orchestra's tempo with the seriousness of statesmen. Chucky, the venerable alligator, contributed the occasional gravelly hum, the sort that implies agreement, disapproval, or indigestion, depending on the moment. Benjamin's circle remained blissfully unaware of the shifting attention around them, until the ostriches drifted closer. As Nettie approached, the whispers swelled. Some insisted her feathers gleamed brighter. Others claimed her stride slowed. All agreed she knew precisely where Benjamin stood. The shift in the air was subtle but unmistakable, the way a herd senses something amiss long before it is spoken aloud. Nettie's steps slowed further, her gaze fixed with unmistakable purpose. Poppy and Clover adjusted their pace in perfect unison, as though the trio had rehearsed this moment. And then, with theatrical delicacy, Nettie was said to have accidentally dropped her calling card case, a pearl-inlaid treasure that struck the floor with a sound far louder than its size should allow. The room inhaled. Benjamin, ever the gentleman, and ever susceptible to flattery, stepped forward. Witnesses reported that he lowered his long neck with practiced grace, retrieved the case, and returned it to Nettie. Those nearest the exchange stiffened, their expressions shifting with the quick, silent judgment of creatures who recognize the beginnings of a scandal. What followed, my readers, was a moment that stretched just long enough to be noticed. A glance held a heartbeat too long, eyelashes lowered with suspicious delicacy, feathers trembling with unmistakable intent. The whispers, already simmering, erupted into a full boil. Fans snapped open, brows arched. The baboon spinsters, Abby and Pebbles, the ton's twin sentinels of scandal, perched together with the eager poise of creatures who consider other people's business their life's calling. Their posture alone suggested they believed the evening had finally become interesting. It was said that their commentary grew sharp enough to slice through silk. Several nearby creatures later reported that Pebbles appeared to observe that certain ladies were inclined to drop far more than calling cards when a tall gentleman was present. Others insisted that Abby, with her brow arched in unmistakable judgment, seemed to imply that some gentlemen were altogether too eager to be of service. Across the room, Akela saw everything. Her circle of particular ladies closed ranks around her. Regina's low rumble signalled warning. Nandi's eyes narrowed with predatory focus. Maggie offered grounding warmth. Magic coiled in silent solidarity. Akela did not falter. Her composure held, as a lady's must, though those closest to her noted the faint tightening of her jaw and the quiet stillness that comes when a heart braces itself. Some even whispered that her spots dimmed, ever so slightly in the candlelight. And so, my dearest readers, the Tun has already begun its favourite pastime, speculation. 3 questions now flutter through society like restless moths seeking the nearest flame, whether Benjamin's lapse will prove a fleeting misstep or the beginning of a far more tangled web, whether Nettie's boldness will fade with the evening's candlelight or embolden her further, and whether Akela's loyal circle will remain merely supportive or rise as something far more formidable. Already a quiet phrase has begun circulating among those who fancy themselves attuned to omens. When feathers fall where they should not, the wind is seldom to blame. A sentiment your devoted chronicler suspects may prove more relevant than any of them yet realise. So, my dearest readers, until the next whisper reaches my quill, I remain, as ever, your devoted and anonymous observer of Zoo Society, Mrs. Featherdown.